The essays is interesting, isn't it?
Yes, very interesting. Our chemistry article is home.
Right. Do you have any ideas?
No yet.
It would be great if we could interview great physicists like Bohr and Heisenberg.
I wish.
Go and get zinc sulfate.
Okay.
Chiara, come here.
Ladies, what are you doing on the floor?
We will help you get up.
I am Bohr.
And I am Heisenberg.
What? Well, if we're not crazy, we'd love to interview you too. What do you say?
That's a great idea.
I'll talk to Bohr.
I talk to Heisenberg.
It's an honor to meet you, Professor Bohr. You're a physicist I really admire. Can I have the pleasure of interviewing you? It will be something I will boast about.
I'm very pleased to meet a young lady who's interested in science. So, start asking me your question.
What was your childhood like?
I lived in Copenhagen with my family, and I loved football very much. I was fairly a good goalkeeper, but my brother, Harold, was the captain of the Danish team at the Olympic Games. He was so famous that the king recognized him, but not me.
So you were a sportsman. However, I suppose you were more interested in research. Where did you graduate?
I studied at the University of Copenhagen, where I graduated in 1911. Well, it took me some time to get a degree, since I thought of several ideas, important ideas at the same time. I found it difficult to select a topic without long reasonings. When I was alive, I was verbose, boring, and a bit confused. But I was initiative. In fact, while I was attending university, I understood that classical physics was wrong. So,
Einstein.
It wasn't really wrong. I'd rather say it was incomplete. Don't forget that before your Planck brought about a great revolution with his quant. What about my own theories? Even children at primary school know my E equals mc square equation. Besides, don't forget Darwin, Mendel, Mendeleev, Maxwell, Thomson, De Course, Rutherford and Freud. That was a great time.
I read a lot of books written by them, but I was interested in a new and particular science of atomic phenomena which had already fascinated Democrito and Lucrezio. I developed my theory on electrons when I moved to Manchester to join Rutherford's group.
The energy transfers in the phenomena of emission and absorption of electromagnetic radiation occur in a discrete form. According to the quantum theory, atoms absorb and emit radiations in a discontinuous way, in quantum of energy. I mean, in a discrete and finite energy quantities. In this way, even energy can be represented as a concept, like matter, under granular form. So we can define a quantum as a granule of indivisible energy.
Thank you, teachers, but now let's move on. I bet there's someone we want to tell us about the meeting between Bohr and Einstein to the conferences organized by the International Institute for Physical and Chemical Survey.
Alright, I'll speak about it. The world's most famous physicists attended the conference to discuss the quantum theory recently disclosed. The most representative figures were Einstein and Bohr. Famous was the comparison between their ideas. Einstein, disappointed by Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, said, God does not play dice. Bohr said, Einstein, stop telling God what to do.
Einstein's second challenge was launched at the Solvay Congress in 1930. Here he resorted to the description of a hypothetical device that combined a scale, a clock and a bolt like the one of the cameras. Thanks to this device, Einstein seemed sure to be able to demonstrate that a particle, before being measured, should contain those well-defined features that the new theory denied. When Bohr came to know this, he remained speechless.
I still can't believe that God plays dice, and we thought Bohr was the superstitious one, didn't we?
What?
Yes. Once, at the amazement of one of his students, who has seen a horseshoe nailed on the threshold of his home, he say, embarrassed, "You're right, it's no sense, but it works."
Who is this?
In school we breathed a spirit of inquiry and discussion called the spirit of Copenhagen. But there was also some opportunity of recreation. Professor Bohr was fond of cinema, but the only movies he liked were the Hollywood Western ones. After a really stupid movie, his verdict was he did not like it, too unlucky. That the villain runs away with the beautiful girl is logical. That the bridge collapses while they are crossing it is unlikely. But I am prone to accept it. That the heroine is suspended on a precipice is even more unlikely, but let's admit this too. I am even willing to admit that Tom Mix arrives on his horse at the precise time, however, that at that very moment there is a guy with a camera to film the whole scene is more than I am willing to believe. This observation on the likelihood and the role of the observer had a particular resonance among physicists because they were linked to the studies of his favorite student, Werner Heisenberg.
Professor Heisenberg, would you like to tell us a bit about your life?
I was an intelligent and hand-strong young man. At home, my parents encouraged constant competition with my older brother, Erwin. This is the reason why I was always by far the first of my classmates at school, especially in math and science. I arrived in Copenhagen when I was a boy, where I was welcomed like a son by Bohr. I worked out my uncertainty principle, the simultaneous measurement of two conjugate variables, such as position and momentum quantity or energy and time, cannot be accomplished without an uncertainty which cannot be eliminated. Unfortunately, war and hatred brought by it divided us, because everyone wanted to follow the events in his country.
Totalitarian regimes and war ravaged the lives of many scientists. Bohr helped me to escape from Italy after the promulgation of racial laws of 1938, right when I received the Nobel Prize for Physics. My wife was Jewish. And to think that in Italy there was a talented group of physicists, known as the Boys of Via Panisperna.
I met Bohr in England and was struck by the clarity of his reflection on the consequences of the nuclear weapon he was working on. He knew this weapon would change the conditions of any conflict to come. In his opinion, the only way to avoid a future competition among nations for the control of this weapon was a universal agreement. The exchange of industrial resources and military secrets that is the control of armaments. Only this course of action could ensure general security. Even though, during the Second World War, I took part in the Manhattan Project for the construction of the atomic bomb. Under the leadership of the physicist Robert Oppenheimer, and therefore had a responsibility for the creation of the hydrogen bomb. I don't agree either with Bohr or with Oppenheimer. The latter argued the necessity of the banning of nuclear weapons. Posterity made me pay dearly for my opinions. In 1891, I was awarded the Ig Nobel Peace Prize, a parody of the Nobel Prize, awarded to those who have done scientific research of dubious benefit.
Professor Heisenberg, could you please to tell us about your relationship with Bohr and explain to us why your friendship started to deteriorate?
In 1941, I visited Bohr in Denmark. The country was then occupied by the Germans. We had a long talk. At the time, I was leading the German nuclear program, under the German regime. Nuclear fission had already been discovered in Germany, in 1939. But my collaboration was controversial. I was tormented by scruples, therefore I tried to slow the project down. My feelings have been described very well by Michael Frayn in his play Copenhagen. I acted driven by moral qualms, not by political interests. In fact, I continuously passed vital information to the Allied forces via Bohr about the latest progress of the German program. That is why I revealed the existence of the program to Bohr.
Let's listen to the other version. Please, Professor Bohr, go ahead.
Actually, our talk didn't go exactly that way. Heisenberg asked me for information about the planning of the atomic bomb by the Americans. He never expressed any moral doubt about the project of construction of the atomic bomb, and made me understand that he had been spending 2 years working exclusively on it, as he was convinced that the bomb would determine the outcome of the war. He also invited me to join the Germans, and so work with him on the project, but I declined the invitation.
Nuclear power is such a dangerous weapon that it may lead people to make choices they would have never made.
All sides.